Okay, today we're going to be talking about the metric system. Before we start talking about the metric system, we're going to use a comparison point to figure out how the metric system relates to something that we're already used to. So we're going to make a little chart today. And as always, you can pause this video whenever you want to get caught up on the notes, but I'm going to be making the notes as I go, and I want you to follow along. That'll do. Doesn't have to be perfect. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 columns and 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. So a system that we're used to, that we practice here in the United States, is called the Imperial System. And what we're actually talking about here is measurements. We're talking about length, which has to do with how long something is. We're talking about mass, which has to do with weight. And we're also talking about volume. And the way I like to think about volume is how much inside. And as always, you can pause this to get caught up. So in my imperial system, what do we use for length, weight, and volume? Well, with length, we can use inches, we can use feet, we can use yards, we can use miles. There may be more, but that's something that we're familiar with. These are all measurements to tell me how long something is, starting with something that's really small to something that's really big. When I'm talking about weight in the United States, we use pounds, and we use tons. How much does something weigh? And volume, how much is inside? And what I mean by that, like how much is inside a can of Coke or a bottle of water? We use ounces. We can use cups, thinking about baking, and we can use gallons. So those are some stuff that you are familiar with the imperial system. Today we're going to be talking about the metric system. And discussing how the metric system measures things in length, mass, and volume. So I'm going to throw some terms out that we're going to use over and over again. So if you're not that familiar right off the bat, that's okay. We're going to be practicing this for the next few days. The metric system is a little bit easier to deal with because there's only one unit for all three of these categories. When it comes to length, the metric system uses meters. When it comes to mass, the metric system uses grams. And when it comes to volume, the metric system uses liters. Now this seems a lot easier compared to the imperial system. There's a lot more units that we can use up here as opposed to just one basic unit for each one of these categories. So that's an advantage that the metric system has. Another cool thing that the metric system is all about is we put prefixes in front of these words to show us how big or how small these units are. Let me show you what I mean. So when I say small to big, I'm talking about the actual units here. So with meters, we've got millimeters, centimeters, meters, our base unit, and we've got kilometers, kilometers. Now, there are more categories in these prefixes, milli, centi, kilo, but we're just going to stick with the basics here, stuff that we're familiar with, stuff that's really practical for our world. We can dive deeper into the metric system, and maybe you guys will do that in 7th grade, but for now, we're just going to keep with the basic, the most practical terms when it comes to the metric system. So that's what I want you guys to be familiar with: milliliters, centimeters, meters, and kilometers. And in a moment, we're going to talk about numbers here. How many millimeters are in a meter? How many centimeters are in a meter? How many how many meters are in a kilometer? Okay? And what's cool about the metric system is these prefixes are used in each one of the rest of the categories in mass and volume. Let me show you what I mean. With grams, we've got milligrams, we've got grams, and we've got kilograms. So again, these are getting bigger and bigger as we go down the line. A kilogram is bigger than a gram, and a gram is bigger than a milligram. And lastly, we have the same idea when it comes to liters. We've got milliliters, we've got liters, and we've got kilometers. Sorry, I'm saying meters. I'm liters. Milliliters, liters, kiloliters. And that is our first part of the notes. If you want to pause the video, take a little break, feel free. But I'm going to talk about the numbers here now.